Beyond the Gate spoilers tease that as the iconic series prepares to celebrate its 100th episode, a wave of anticipation washes over longtime viewers. Michelle Val-Jean confirmed what many had suspected: a new actor will be introduced to mark the milestone. But the surprise doesn't end with a new facet, someone strikingly familiar. This revelation has sparked a frenzy of theories. Who could it be? A character thought long gone? A recast of someone believed dead? Or a shocking return tied to a buried storyline? Buzz intensified after a recent press conference announcement sent fans into overdrive. The event, planned for the day before the 100th episode airs, promises exclusive insights and what Val-Jean called a narrative pivot point. According to her, this isn't just another episode. It's a restructuring of the show's foundations. She teased that the upcoming scenes will feel like both a culmination and a new beginning. Meanwhile, Ducksworth added fuel to the fire during an interview with Deadline. Smiling, he hinted that the new character would bring a fresh energy and, in his words, unexpected joy. More intriguingly, he described the incoming actor as incredibly charming, with a magnetic presence and an existing fanbase. He's not just a new player's a heartthrob, and the writers are placing big bets on him. Speculation spread like wildfire. Could the character be connected to one of the original families? A long-lost sibling? A presumed dead heir? Or could he be a rival from the past returning to shake up alliances? Backstage, whispers swirled around the cast. Even the veteran actors were kept in the dark. Only a few knew the real identity behind the mystery role. Some guessed a high-profile cameo, others thought it might be the return of a former lead under a new identity. The real tension, however, lay not just in the casting, but in what this new character would change. Because change was already brewing. Val-Jean and Ducksworth both dropped hints about the current cast undergoing major upheavals. One of the biggest names under scrutiny was Brandon Claiborne, who portrays Martin. For months, Martin's storyline had been unstable. Once a central figure, his character was being pulled in conflicting directions. Viewers noticed the shift. From brooding antihero to morally ambiguous schemer, Martin's actions had become harder to justify. Val-Jean remained tight-lipped but said cryptically, sometimes characters outgrow their purpose, and other times they're meant to evolve into something completely unexpected. This ambiguity triggered a wave of theories. Was Martin being written off? Or was he headed for a dramatic redemption or downfall? More tension emerged as Ducksworth teased that a major betrayal would unfold over the next 3 episodes, involving a fan-favorite character who would cross a line that couldn't be undone. With Martin's erratic behavior and questionable loyalty, many assumed he'd be at the center of it. On the opposite side of the tonal spectrum, some levity was promised. Dr. Wendy Osifo and Giselle Bryant, known for their quick wit and scene-stealing presence, confirmed their involvement in upcoming comedic scenes. Sources on set revealed a series of unscripted moments between the two that left even the crew in hysterics. These lighthearted moments were designed to offset the heavy drama dominating other storylines. Their scenes are rumored to take place during a high-society charity gala event said to be a catalyst for more than just laughs. Beneath the glitz, secrets will be exposed, alliances will be tested, and one guest will leave in handcuffs. The gala also plays a pivotal role in teasing the arrival of the new actor. One insider revealed that his first appearance will be anything but subtle. It's going to stop the party cold, they said. His presence is going to shift everything. Back in the writer's room, debates raged about how to integrate this new character without alienating the current ensemble. That's where Val-Jean's careful storytelling comes into play. Known for weaving emotion into twists, she aimed to ensure the transition felt natural but shocking. Behind the scenes, tension also brewed regarding Ted Richardson. Rumors spread across forums and comment sections questioning whether his time on the show was winding down. Though Ted's storyline remained central, particularly his entanglements with several leads, his presence had become polarizing. Val-Jean acknowledged the speculation in an offhand comment. Some departures are private until they're not. Ted's arc is still unfinished, but whose isn't? This only raised more questions. Was Ted being phased out to make room for the incoming character? Or were they connected? Adding to the storm was the subtle mention of an international subplot brewing in the background. A source close to production leaked that the new character might arrive with ties to a foreign company aiming to buy out one of the central businesses on the show. The deal, if true, could pit longtime allies against each other, possibly leading to an explosive boardroom betrayal. As the press conference drew nearer, fan groups mobilized. Online forums tracked clues, dissected every frame of the latest teaser trailer, and even ran polls about which actor would most likely make the cut. One name repeatedly rose to the top, a former soap lead who vanished from TV screens 5 years ago under mysterious circumstances. His return, if true, would signal a seismic shift. But it wasn't just the fans feeling anxious. Inside the world of the story, characters began sensing the winds of change. Conversations grew tense. Long-forgotten storylines were resurrected. A sealed envelope discovered in Martin's safe hinted at blackmail material that had gone untouched for over a decade. Sharon Winger made a rare on-screen appearance after weeks away, her character oddly calm and mysterious. Even Tracy Tyler, known for her sharp tongue and emotional restraint, broke down during a scene that hadn't been scripted. The cameras kept rolling. The footage, raw and real, was left in the final cut. Ducksworth explained later that moment was lightning in a bottle. It's the kind of emotional honesty we want more of. Everything was building to something bigger, something irreversible. And with every passing day, the question that haunted every scene, every interview, every character arc wasn't just who was coming, but what they were bringing with them. Because in a show built on secrets, no arrival is ever simple. The day of the press conference finally arrived, and the buzz was electric. Media crews lined the entrance to the soundstage. Reporters jostled for position. The cast arrived in waves, some smiling confidently, others with barely concealed tension. Cameras captured every glance, every stiff exchange, every cryptic smile. Michelle, Val Jean, and Ducksworth took the stage first, flanked by producers and showrunners. Their expressions gave little away. Without preamble, Val Jean leaned into the mic and said, "Thank you for standing by us for 100 episodes. Now it's time to turn the page." The screen behind them flickered to life. A montage of scenes from the past seasons play betrayals, weddings, funerals, boardroom brawls, whispered threats. Then came the final clip, a single frame of a man's silhouette stepping through a doorway. When the image cleared, gasps filled the room. It was him, a former daytime drama sensation. His sudden disappearance from television had been as shocking as his talent. And now his return would mark a tectonic shift. The character's name, Marcus DeWitt. His connection, unknown. But whispers began instantly. Could he be Sharon Winger's estranged son? A rival heir to the Richardson fortune? Or the man who once nearly married Tracy Tyler before vanishing on the eve of their wedding? Val Jean grinned. Let's just say Marcus didn't come back for closure. He came back with a contract. The implications were immediate. Online forums exploded. Fan theories reignited. Cast members looked visibly stunned. The impact on Martin's fate was instant. Brandon Claiborne wasn't present. When asked about his absence, Ducksworth simply replied, "He's taking time to reflect on his future." No denial. No confirmation. Just a hollow echo. In the hours following the announcement, speculation that Martin would be written off for good intensified. Back on set, the tone had shifted. Ted Richardson, who had already sensed the shifting tides, began making subtle moves to preserve his relevance. He requested script rewrites, positioning his character closer to Marcus's arc. But the writers weren't having it. They saw something fresher in Marcus, something volatile and refined. Ted's screen time began shrinking. The once central figure was now reduced to background dialogue. Val Jean had said it best, "Not every king keeps his throne." Meanwhile, Marcus made his first appearance on screen during the final scene of the gala. He arrived in a sleek suit, stepping out of a town car, eyes fixed on the estate. The music paused. Conversations stopped. Wendy Osifo and Giselle Bryant, in mid-scene banter, both turned to look. Giselle's line, improvised, "Well damn. That's not the valet." The camera panned. Tracy Tyler stood frozen near the punch table. Her expression shifted from confusion to recognition to something almost mournful. That silent glance said more than any line of dialogue. What followed was a slow unraveling. Marcus didn't rush in to see she haunted them. He observed from doorways, listened from corners, reintroduced himself with charm and menace in equal measure. And very quickly, he began flipping loyalties. Sharon Winger took the first step. She invited Marcus to a private meeting at her vineyard estate. The conversation was calm, but the stakes were clear. "You were supposed to be dead," she said. "I was," he replied. "Until I realized someone had forged the death certificate." A beat. Sharon blinked. "You think it was me? I know it was you." Across town, Catherine Richardson began connecting dots of her own. Ted, increasingly desperate, had started leaking information about Vernon's old deals, about Martin's sealed envelope, about hidden paternity tests no one was supposed to know existed. Catherine seized on the opportunity. She confronted Eva Thomas in a rare one-on-one scene. "I need to know who Marcus is. I need to know what he wants. And I need you to tell me the truth before I find it myself." Eva, ever the keeper of secrets, stayed silent for a long time before finally answering. "He's the reason Leslie Thomas left for Europe. And he's the reason she might come back." Leslie's name hadn't been spoken aloud for weeks. But the mention reignited fear. And just as expected, her shadow returned. Anonymous messages began flooding the cast's private lines. Black and white photos. Scans of old legal documents. One photo featured a teenage Marcus arm-in-arm with a young Leslie, standing in front of the courthouse. The caption read, "We never forget." It was clear now. Marcus wasn't just a new storyline. He was a weapon. At the next script table read, tension was thick. Ted barely spoke. Sharon circled every scene she shared with Marcus. Tracy Tyler had a quiet breakdown in the hallway afterward. She knew her character's past was about to be rewritten in public. Dr. Wendy and Giselle, meanwhile, were thriving in chaos. Their scenes expanded. They offered comic relief, but also surprisingly sharp insights. Wendy delivered a line in episode 102 that became an instant meme. "In this family, secrets are just overdue confessions." As filming progressed, Brandon Claiborne's final scenes as Martin were shot without announcement. His character was last seen in a jail cell, phone in hand, whispering to someone unseen, "Tell them I never stopped protecting her." And then he was gone. In his place, Marcus flourished. Viewers responded immediately. Ratings surged. Fan polls ranked him the most compelling character introduced in 5 seasons. At the episode's end, Marcus stood in the same room where Martin once made his last call. He held the same phone. And he dialed. The screen cut to black. One word echoed through the audio. Leslie. Whatever was coming next would tear open the foundation. Weeks after Marcus's arrival, the world inside the show had been turned inside out. Viewers were glued to every episode, and industry insiders were already calling this the most successful second-act pivot in serialized drama history. But something darker was moving beneath the glossy twists and fan service. Leslie returned not in person, but through power plays. A cease and desist order landed on Val Jean's desk, signed by an anonymous LLC traced back to a shell company Leslie had used in Europe. The letter claimed ownership over a plotline introduced years ago, one that the current story was beginning to echo. If proven, it could halt Marcus's arc in its tracks. Sharon Winger went into damage control. She met privately with Ducksworth and Val Jean in an unlisted studio room. "If she takes this to court, you won't just lose the arc," she said. "You'll lose the audience." Again. But Sharon wasn't just being generous. She had skin in the game. It was now confirmed that Marcus was indeed her character's son, illegitimate, hidden during her early career, and secretly adopted into a powerful family tied to the Richardson legacy. If the legal attack stuck, it would erase the most compelling twist in her character's 20-year history. Nicole was drawn into the fray. Though her storyline had been less involved with Marcus, producers now wanted her to anchor a subplot that connected her to Sharon's past. Nicole agreed, but only under one condition: full creative input. This was her chance to shape her legacy on the show. Meanwhile, Ted Richardson spiraled. With fewer scenes and fading relevance, he leaked his own behind-the-scenes footage to a gossip outlet. He claimed Val Jean had sidelined him for personal reasons. It backfired. Public support swung toward the writers. Ted's contract wasn't renewed. He filmed a short farewell scene, leaving town under the guise of a business relocation. No tears. No final showdown. Just a quiet exit. The final stretch of the 100th arcade approached. In the penultimate episode, Marcus met with Tracy Tyler in a candlelit lounge. They spoke in soft voices. Confessions flowed past regrets, unresolved feelings, betrayals never fully explained. "You vanished," Tracy whispered. "I was made to vanish," Marcus replied. "By someone who loved you more than I could afford to." That someone, it turned out, was Martin. Before his arrest, he'd bribed a hospital official to falsify Marcus's death. His motive: protect Tracy from a truth she wasn't ready for. It was twisted. It was desperate. But it was undeniably loyal. The revelation hit hard. Tracy, broken but composed, said only one thing: "Then let's end it right." In the finale, everything converged. A legal hearing over Leslie's cease and desist became the unlikely backdrop for the emotional closure fans had demanded. Characters took the stand figuratively and literally. Sharon confessed to her past. Marcus offered to drop his claim to any inheritance. Nicole announced she would step back from family politics and focus on mentorship. Catherine endorsed a public restitution fund for those hurt by the family's past actions. Leslie never appeared. But her final move arrived in the Mila notarized document transferring the disputed creative rights back to the show, signed by Leslie Thomas herself. No conditions. No contact. The last scene was shot in silence. Marcus walked the empty vineyard Sharon once hid him from. Nicole watched him from afar. Tracy stood by the gate, unsure if she should call his name. She didn't. Instead, he turned. And smiled. Cut to black. The words appeared in gold. "Legacy isn't what you leave behind. It's what you choose to fix before you go." The screen faded.